I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you're listening to Hard NOC Life.
Well, it's the NOC in full color. You see me? The Hard NOC Life. Comics, movies, and TV. Yeah.
Welcome to Hard NOC Life. I'm Keith Chow.
I'm Brittany Monet.
Dominic is off this week, but we're here. I'm back.
Yes.
Sorry for missing last week. Thank you for holding it down. The big Black Panther episode. So you guys were awesome last week, sharing your thoughts. And as well as mourning the loss of Kevin Conroy, which I was unable to share some of my thoughts. I was a huge as everyone knows, Batman is my guy. And Kevin Conroy was, like everyone else, the voice in my head when I read a Batman comic. But it was yet another tragic week for nerds of 90s properties, because after Kevin Conroy passed this week, Jason David Frank of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers passed over the weekend. And I, full disclosure, was not very much into Power Rangers. It's definitely a pop culture blind spot for me. But I think you were a big fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just kind of like, which Batman the Animated Series, Power Rangers was another thing that, I was always heading home to watch that. There was like the Beetlejuice cartoon, I think, and I can't remember.
I mean, they were all on Fox too, right? Weren't they like the Fox Kids?
I think so. And then I watched like how they also had the animated like Aladdin series and the Little Mermaid. Like I watched those too, and obviously the X-Men. But yeah, Power Rangers, like I was the pink Power Ranger for, I don't know, was it in kindergarten? And so anyone who knows anything about Power Rangers knows that, the pink Power Ranger, at least the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the pink Power Ranger and the green Power Ranger who turns into the white Power Ranger, or if I'm misremembering it, it's been so long, I'm sorry. But Tommy, Jason David Frank, played the green Power Ranger and the white Power Ranger. I don't know if they're like separate people or it was like, I don't know. There are some storylines I don't fully remember, but that being said, I also had a crush on Tommy as a kid. So he was like, one of the other like little mini crushes I had as a kid, and loved him. He was always great. I never got to meet him, but I know he was like one of the people from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers who always went to fan events, always met fans, was always very kind to fans from what I know of.
He was a staple on the convention circuit, I believe.
Yeah. But he's also just like really like a kind dude. When they did was it the dinosaur series, or he came back he's come back a couple of times to basically play the same character over, even though I hadn't watched some of the more
Are all the Power Rangers in the same continuity? Again, it's a complete blind spot for me.
Because I didn't watch all of the other ones. After a while, it kind of I grew out of it, or at least I don't mind watching like Mighty Morphin, but I didn't watch any of the dinosaur one. For those who watched iZombie, Rose McIver was like a Power Ranger. I never watched it when she was a Power Ranger. Yeah, apparently.
I had no idea.
So, yeah, I just hadn't seen the more newer stuff, but I have seen the movie that came out a couple years ago. That was honestly really, really great. And then I did
with like Ludi Lin and Naomi Scott.
Yeah, it's honestly a really great film that deserved a sequel. And I did see like the one that, I don't know if you've seen it, that Katie Sackhoff is in it and she plays Kimberly. It was
wow, there's a lot of the only tangential connection I have to Power Rangers is that our good friend of the NOC, Yoshi Sudarso, was one of I forget which version of Power Rangers, but he was a Power Ranger. He's actually getting his own action figure later this year. And his brother Peter was also a Power Ranger. So I know that. Other than that, I have no knowledge. And I know, of course, it was actually a Japanese show from the 70s that kind of got repurposed to be like a 90s American kids like staple.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have no like the storylines, the continuity. It's definitely a pop culture blind spot for me.
I think you would really like the film that Katie Sackhoff is in, as if you can find it. And it's different people obviously playing the Power Rangers, but it's supposed to be the Mighty Morphin set of Power Rangers, but they are older and they all have like issues and stuff because they were essentially child soldiers when you really like look at the storyline. So that one's really good, and it's probably honestly like one of my favorite like Power Ranger things. But the movie Mighty Morphin with the Ivan Ooze, who's kind of like a weird purple, like Freddy
Like
Krueger
the one
guy.
that came out like a long time ago, not the
Yeah.
reboot.
So the actual movie Mighty Morphin, that movie is great, and I will watch that movie every time I catch it on TV. And my mom's like, I don't know how many times you've seen this movie. Like,
Is JDF in that?
yes, he's in that. So they also have someone else as the yellow Power Ranger, because originally it was, what's her name, Tina? In the original series, she was played by
the Asian American actress who passed away.
Yes, yeah, and then she got replaced by a black actress. So the black actress was in the movie, because I don't remember if it already happened on the show or they did the movie sometime after, but that movie is honestly really great. But yeah, he always seemed like a really nice guy. I always, he was always one of my favorites. So it's sad. I was just surprised, and I didn't follow up too much on his own personal life over like the last few years.
He took his own life. It wasn't a natural cause. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had no idea any of that was going on, or wouldn't even. I know a lot of fans didn't either, but like I wasn't even following to like, So I was, maybe it's probably better that I hadn't been, because I feel like if I had continued to follow him and really like watch his career, I probably would just be even more devastated.
Well, I mean, it's definitely 2 weeks in a row. 90s kids,
two people
icons.
who like, yeah, like
these, like if you grew up, if you were a kid in the 90s, right? Like this is like it's your childhood, right?
It is my childhood. It's very sad. Like I said, Kevin Conroy was always my favorite Batman over even the live action versions, and Tommy was always one of my favorite Power Rangers. So it's just like it's very crushing.
Well, I hope the rule of 3 doesn't apply here, because well, actually, I mean, Aaron Carter passed.
Yeah, and Aaron Carter was also someone who
a 90s kid, icon. So yeah, rule of 3 is.
And Aaron was actually closer to my age and all of that stuff. So I actually have a poster of him. So
yeah, that's the thing about aging too, right? Like, I mean, of course, Aaron Carter was very young. Jason David Frank was very young, and I believe Kevin Conroy had cancer. Is that what he passed from? So but at the same time, when the icons of your youth leave you, it's always hard to. And one thing I don't think you guys mentioned last week when you were talking about Kevin Conroy that I just wanted to throw a quick plug in is that he wrote a story in the most recent DC Pride anthology about like it was an autobiographical story about Kevin Conroy, because he came out recently, and he wrote a story called Finding Batman, which was an autobiographical story about how basically getting the job as Batman allowed him to kind of like live his authentic self. And up until that point, and one thing a lot of folks don't realize is that back in the 80s and 90s, it was difficult if you were a gay man to be out and get work. So if you get a chance, I would check out the DC Pride anthology. It's a great, anthology overall, but definitely check out Finding Batman for Kevin Conroy's story. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, definitely. It's been that on top of Wakanda Forever, like
it's just so much grief.
And then, the main topic of this week's episode is Andor episode 11. And I feel like that episode was also
not trying to laugh, grief. But like,
no, I mean, look, there's a reason they named the droid B2 emo, because I swear to God, this is the first time in Star Wars a droid made me cry.
Yeah, I was sad too, and I was just like, and he was just like, I just want to wait until she gets home, and I was just like, oh no, yeah, just so much stuff in the feels this last few weeks. Like, gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Like, what is the universe telling us?
Yeah,
but so let's take it back to episode 11. I mean, this is the penultimate episode. There's only one left.
Yeah.
And next week's is the finale. And interestingly, one bit of news that came out over the week was Disney is actually releasing the first 3 episodes, like that first story arc of Andor, to the masses, right? It's not just going to be on Disney Plus. They'll have Hulu, Freeform, and ABC, I believe. Like they're going to show that first little mini Andor movie like for free for everyone on Thanksgiving. So that's that's the day after the finale. So like I guess the hope is they'll release the finale. Everyone who's been watching is going to be God, oh my God, this show is so great, which like you and I and Dominic have been saying for weeks now. But after the finale, I guess the idea is trying to build some of the hype, because one unfortunate thing about Andor is that other than like the three of us and a select few other people, it's not the most popular Star Wars thing.
I follow, like, I would say I follow the right people in the Star Wars fandom for the most part
exactly.
on my timeline, because everyone that I follow loves Andor. Even people who maybe weren't huge on like Book of Boba Fett or even Mandalorian. I know some people might be shocked. Yes, there are people who are not fond of those two shows. They really love Andor. So I think that, yes, Andor just happens to be some of the best stuff Star Wars has done. And I know that there's a set of people who don't like it because they don't feel like they're being catered to, or there's not enough like pew pew and, you know,
hey, there was some pew pew this week though.
Yes, but I feel like it's not in the way that they
yeah, of course,
it.
right.
You know what I mean?
We'll talk about some of the, like, it kind of, it's not as divisive as Last Jedi was, but it's like it reminds me of Last Jedi because of like the kinds of themes that they're doing and trying to open up the Star Wars universe to these other kinds of storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, which I think, to your point, some folks just kind of recoil because it's like, well, Star Wars is supposed to be X, Y, and Z, but we're going to give you like H, B, and J. Like we're not even going to give you like letters on the alphabet in order, right? We're going to try to like really mess with you. And yeah, I get why some people wouldn't jive to that, but
yeah, because to me it feels like, not that it's the same show in terms of like genre, but I feel like the way the approach to it feels like Breaking Bad to me. Like,
yeah, well, we've been saying, right?
Level of storytelling, you know what I mean?
This kind of like adult prestige TV.
Yes.
It's like Dominic had a great line a couple weeks ago. It's as if AMC did a Star Wars show.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, Mad Men. It's very much in that kind of like, I mean, the quality of the writing, of the acting, no shade to everyone else who's done Star Wars, but it's just on another level, right? It is like, you know, the production value, the writing, the scripts, everything is just on another level. So let's get into a little bit about the plot. So I mentioned B2 Emo. The main thing that happens in this episode is Marva has passed.
Yes.
And, you know, she was ill the previous episodes. The saddest thing about it is that Cassian's not aware of it, right? He's too busy escaping. And B2 Emo is really like, I guess droids are kind of like pets for people in Star Wars, but it does like remind you of like the loyal dog who waits by his, you know, owner's side after the owner's passed away. You know what I mean? And I forget the name of the friend. I like the character, but he's the worker who's friends with Andor. I forget his name.
Same. He's
Barrasso or something.
Yes, he was really good in this episode too, and just, I don't know, seeing where everyone is at too. Just where what's her name? Dorothy from the one. She's not Dorothy on this show, but she played Dorothy on the other show. Oh my God, what's her name? The one that is kind of hinted at maybe being Andor's ex.
Oh, Bix.
Bix, that's her name. I couldn't think.
You're right. Let's start that over again. What are you trying to say?
I was gonna say just like where her character started, just like going from really kind of like happy, and then like just the descent of like what.
Well, and then the torture of like let's listen to little children die is it would screw you up too.
just everything it was just like, it felt like everything was just extra heavy this episode, despite like, you know, the funny moments where Andor and the other guy got like caught in that weird like gooey stuff.
Well, and at least look, people complain there are no aliens in Andor. We got two really like wild looking aliens, right? Like aliens you've never seen in Star Wars before. What I loved about the B2 Emo scene though is that the first time you're introduced to him in this episode is what is really cool, really well done, because I don't think they've ever done this in Star Wars. You get to see from his perspective.
Yeah.
They actually put you inside B2 Emo's eye, essentially. And you don't know it at first, right? It's this weird kind of like disorienting thing. And you see
Yeah.
like liquid shaking, and you realize because someone has put like a cup of coffee on his head and he's shaking because he's so sad, because they're taking Marva's body out. And then, later in the episode, when we mentioned earlier, Barrasso, he's the only one that's kind of like empathetic to B2 Emo, right? Because like I said, someone else put a coffee on his head, it's like, come on, this little guy's mourning, and you're just treating him like an appliance, which again is very very Star Wars, because there are people in Star Wars who just treat droids like crap. And then, right. But then he's very empathetic to him, and he's like, well, Marva's got to go now, but we'll be back and we'll check in on you. And then later in the night, he comes back and Emo's like, can you stay the night, please?
Yeah. Well, at first he was trying to get him to go home with him.
Right.
And he was like, well, I want to be here for when she comes back. And he's like, that's when the whole she's not coming back. And then he's like, you've been charging all day, buddy. And it was just, it was all very like just heavy.
Right. And the thing is, it's a droid.
Yeah.
Like emoting. I mean, of course, his name is Emo. So what do you expect? But like that, I don't know. That's just, I mean, and they've always been able to get away with like R2D2, like has always been able to show his emotions. And that's amazing that you're able to get a performance out of an inanimate object like that.
Yeah. And better than some other actors and other things, but
yeah, we won't name names, but
no. But yeah. And then the way that Cassian finds out too is just so like
I wept in that scene when he's like on the payphone and he's like, I need you to get a message to Marva, Yeah, real heavy stuff. Well, let's talk about so there are the three, I guess four parallel storylines, as you mentioned. Andor and Melshi, I think his name, which I think someone may have mentioned this earlier, but like that Melshi dude's in Rogue One. He's one of the rebels that's part of Andor's crew on Scarif. So it's almost like
that might have been Dom, because I don't think I said that.
Yeah. So he's definitely like, it's almost like his origin story too, because he's like a lieutenant on Scarif in Rogue One. If you go back and watch, it's the same actor. It's actually like really like a little detail like that, if you don't pay attention, you're like, oh wow. And if you go back and watch Rogue One, you're like, oh, that's the same dude. That's how he joined up. And what I love is at the end, he's very resolute, and he's like, we got to let the world know about what's happening on that prison. And which is a great contrast, because at the very beginning of the episode, he's like, I can't make it. I can't do this, because he's like hanging off a cliff.
Yeah.
And just that Melshi's story arc within the episode is just like Tony Gilroy. And Tony Gilroy wrote this particular episode.
Yeah.
Like, give him the keys to the Star Wars universe, right? Because to be able to do that in 45 minutes, come on.
Yeah, I do I really like what Tony Gilroy's doing, and I wish Rian Johnson got to do more, because I really do think that The Last Jedi is beautiful, and Deborah Chow too, obviously, because I think Kenobi too is one of the stronger shows, live action shows, and Mandalorian, I love it for the most part. Then Book of Boba Fett had that one episode that was just like, yes,
the Mandalorian. the one episode that was the Mandalorian.
The episode 2. The one that was directed by, I want to say her name was something Green. The episode where it was just kind of like where we saw how he got like the staff or whatever.
Right, where it was mostly episode, flashback.
Yeah, that episode is so great, and I was just like I don't know if it's obviously a combination of the script and the director, but like that team needs to go and do more Star Wars, but I don't know about the whole like Book of Boba Fett stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with Boba Fett. It's like, I mean, the joke I was making is that like, if not that, you're right. I forgot about episode 2 where he meets the Sand people, and where he meets the Tusken Raiders and becomes like part of their tribe and all that. But then like after that episode, it kind of just like meanders for a while, and then it like literally just becomes an episode of The Mandalorian, and then that's the other best episode of the season. Like Boba Fett's not even in it. It's like literally following Din Djarin. And you're like, wait, is this Mandalorian season 3 already?
Yeah.
But
there has been some great stuff in Star Wars. I just wish, yeah, like they stopped catering to that one set of fandom.
You know what I hope? Since Glass Onion's coming out pretty soon, and Jessica Henwick is one of the stars
yes,
of Glass Onion, maybe Rian Johnson's trilogy should just be about Jess Pava and Rose Tico, like just running roughshod across the galaxy together.
I would
and
be
Thelma and Louise.
Hey, I would watch that.
That's what I want. That's what I like. Rian Johnson, his trilogy is Jess Pava and Rose Tico, just driving off cliffs all over the galaxy.
I would watch that. Yeah, I really do though. Like we said, Andor is definitely up there for some of the best that Star Wars has done. And then what's the one guy? Is his name Creel? No, that doesn't sound right. The like a former officer guy, he living with his mama. I always forget his name.
Oh yes, Cyril.
Okay.
Cyril something.
Cyril, yeah. He stole her credit card. He's off to go, and
well, it's all like coming to a head. Like everyone's going to be showing up on Ferrix in the finale because Andor's coming back to the funeral is the big like set piece apparently, right? That's where all of the chess pieces are moving. And so like there are a couple storylines that are happening. There's of course Andor and Melshi escaped. They got out of the prison. We don't know what happened to Andy Serkis. I think like you guys are speculating. The tragedy of that episode is that he's the one who leads them out, and then he gets to the edge and is like, I can't swim. And then we probably won't ever return. You know, it's just that's the kind of like again, that's the kind of great storytelling though. It's like the tragic story of Kino.
Kino. I like how we're all messing up everyone's name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Kino Loy. and so, but they got out, as you mentioned, they get caught by these two alien fishermen, and you think they're going to like eat them or something, but they're like, "We hate the Empire too. Where do you need to go? We'll help you." And they help them escape. The other storyline that's very tense is about Mon Mothma. Like what I didn't realize going into the series is that all the Mon Mothma stuff would be about like her home life. Yeah. You know, like you would think it's a lot of like political intrigue, and it is, but like most of it is just like her kind of her rebelling against her customs and traditions, because what we didn't realize until this episode, I think, is that like the tension between her and her daughter is more that her daughter is she's almost like super religious and very like for the, you know, traditions. Like they had that weird chanting in the room and everything. And then the tragedy of her like kind of arranging her daughter's marriage. Yeah. What makes it even more tragic, I think her daughter would be like happy about it.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
Well, on like, you know, the whole like, what was the saying? Like she thinks it's all good, or that's what I think should be. Then I don't know. She might not like having an actual arranged marriage, but yeah, I mean,
right, but she's like, it's like that kind of, you know, because like the chanting's like we're safe in the braid and everything cannot like just destroy our bonds and we must follow our traditions. You know what I mean? Like the weird kind of chanting. And I think, but what's interesting is that you know you kind of know that like they don't get along, and her mom is doing her best for her daughter, and her daughter's kind of like a little shit most of the series. But then you realize the big tension is because like Mon Mothma doesn't believe in their traditions. But like it was a little scene a couple weeks ago where she's like, I don't drink the worm drink, even though that's a Chandrillan delicacy. And now she's like, I don't arrange my children's marriages. And that creepy dude was like, but that's how our customs are. You know, like she's kind of like secretly rebelling against her own customs.
Yeah. And then it's also just like how much of that is she willing to sacrifice to also be able to take out the Empire? And I mean, eventually we know, so she's gonna give in to something at some point. Right. So I don't know.
Yeah, because she has to become Mon Mothma that we see first in Rogue One and then eventually in Return of the Jedi. So there's that storyline that's happening. Of course, there's Luthen's storyline where he's finally comes clean to Saul Guerrero, which I was actually happy to see Forrest Whitaker back, because I thought
we were just going to get one and done.
And he's about to go in and do what Luthen wanted last week and help that Krieger dude. And then Luthen tells him, well, actually, he's walking into a trap, and I actually don't want you to help him. And so I was just like, make up your mind.
Yep.
And then but then what I like too is that it kind of plants the seed of, if you're not familiar with the Saw Gerrera character outside of Rogue One, like if you never watched Clone Wars, it plants the seed of like, oh, this is where his paranoia comes from. Right. I can't trust anyone. Because by the time you see him in Rogue One, he's like, I don't trust anybody. And because like Luthen is he put his trust in a spy, essentially. And that was a great, like, anytime you put Stellan Skarsgård and Forrest Whitaker in a scene together, it's going to be great. But what did you think of Luthen's space battle? Because this is the first space battle we get in Andor.
It was really cool. Like, I was just like, oh no, this going to be the end of Stellan Skarsgård. And I was like, no, he said he was filming season 2, so I was like, it can't be, or at least like maybe he'll come back in flashbacks, you know. So I was like, okay, he'll probably get out of this at least. But yeah, it was really cool. I wasn't sure if his ship would have been able to take the other one, but he did it.
So I've read some speculation, like he's got this real cool thing. Well, his ship does 2 really cool things. One is he's caught in a tractor beam, and the way he gets out is that he releases, like, it looks like he just releases a bunch of like shards of metal, and then the tractor beam kind of sucks them up really fast and kind of destroys their radar dishes, because it's like not expecting these little pieces to be, because it's not like he's shooting like missiles at them. He just like releases basically junk, and then it kind of like unexpected. It's a great metaphor, because it's like, you know, it's like how the Revolutionary War happened, right? Like the British Army was all kind of prim and proper, and then the American revolutionaries were just kind of like jumping out of trees, and like it's like the Ewoks hitting you with rocks, you know, right? It's very guerrilla warfare. But the other cool thing that a ship does, and I'm like, wait, is his ship a giant double-bladed lightsaber? What's going on here? Because he's got like the 2 like laser blades that shoot out. But you know, it was a dope scene. But I'm kind of like, can you put lightsabers on spaceships now? And if so, why do spaceships have lightsabers?
A kyber crystal, so I'm sure there's a way to utilize it to do that.
But and it was red, so what does that mean? Is he really a Sith? No, I'm not really thinking that. There's already crazy like Star Wars theorists.
Oh yeah, there's people who, like I said that Andy Serkis's character what ends up being the prototype for Snoke. So.
Right, he doesn't jump off the thing and they catch him and they just turn him into Snoke, and that's his origin story. But is that how it ends? No, it ends because it ends. Andor's back on Space Miami.
With the phone call, basically.
He was in prison for a while. Are we just saying that like the housekeeping staff of that hotel just like never cleans the top of the shelf in the bathroom? Or
it was hidden under
was it hidden? Because it seemed like it was just kind of laying there.
When you have those ceilings that have like the
tile or something,
the movable tile, I don't know what you call it.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. So he put it up like there. So it's
okay.
Like
it threw me for a second, because I was like, did he just leave it on the top shelf and no one looked at it for like 6 months?
That's what it looks like, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, the fact that he had not just credits but like blasters in there too, I'd be like, damn, he was really well. He wasn't expecting to get arrested either, so that's true. Like,
yeah,
he was just out getting pizzos and got pulled over. Wrong place, wrong time. Fit the description and all that. Yep. So yeah, what do you have any speculation for next week, since we are at the end? And as you said, there's one more season to go, so it's not like this episode is going to push him into becoming the Andor we see at the beginning of Rogue One. He still has a whole 12 episodes to get to that point.
Well, I think that whatever happens is really gonna officially push him to becoming the Andor that we meet. Because then I feel like the next season will just probably be him really building up more to
forming the alliance.
Yeah, but I feel like the is it the inciting incident to make him like become on that path that it has to happen. Like he was already kind of there, but whatever's gonna happen next episode will be it.
I think just the fact that the Empire is kind of using Marva's funeral to lay the trap, I think that's going to push him over the edge. It's one thing to be like ambushed there, but then realizing that like, wait, this is my mother's funeral. You're like, that's sick that you're using this to kind of draw. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
takes it personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, I audibly said when the episode ended, like, God damn, this is a good show. Like, I'm sitting by myself on the couch and I'm not talking to anybody, but like I couldn't help it. And I'd cried earlier when Emo was sad, so it was just like, this is such a good show. It's a shame it's over.
I know, pretty much.
Nothing else to look forward to on Disney Plus for a while.
I know.
But anyway.
Oh, well, wait, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that's true.
Christmas special. When is that out?
That comes out next week. That comes out
the same week.
I think like Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that next week and the finale and Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. Well, let's take a break. I don't know what else can we talk about when we come back from the break. I know what we can talk about. Okay. Since you mentioned the holidays, we can maybe give some potential holiday gift suggestions. And maybe that's what we'll do. I don't know. We'll see. Let's take a break and find out. Guess what? Goalie Nutrition is sponsoring Hard NOC Life, and you can go to goalie.com to buy apple cider vinegar gummies. They're ashwagandha gummies, superfruit gummies, and super greens gummies. And you get 10% off plus free shipping if you use the code HARDNOC at goalie.com. This is honestly, I've been taking the goalie gummies now for a couple weeks, and I have to say, they're tasty and they're good for you. Have you guys been enjoying the goalie gummies?
I really like them. They're yummy, but it's a nice to add to my routine of already I normally take just straight vitamin C, so it's nice to have extra supplements.
For a long time, people have praised the benefits of apple cider vinegar, and as someone who's had to drink straight apple cider vinegar sometimes when I'm not feeling well, or I have some joint pain, and your mom was like, drink some apple cider vinegar. It's not the most appetizing home remedy, let's just say.
Right. It tastes horrible.
The apple cider part is ooh, does it taste like apple cider? And it's no, it tastes like vinegar. But ACV is very good for you. And the fact that Goalie has been able to put the ACV into these tasty little gummies made with pectin and fruit peels, which make them vegan, which is cool. So if you're vegan, you can still rock these gummies, because everyone knows gummies are usually made out of gelatin and nasty shit. These are made out of complete non-GMO, gelatin-free, gluten-free, vegan ingredients, and you can get the benefits, all of the benefits of apple cider vinegar, taking these tasty, delicious, convenient gummies. So go to goalie.com and use the code HARDNOC, that's HARDNOC, just like the podcast you're listening to. Get 10% off your purchase of Goalie products and free shipping.
It's a much better delivery device for that apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
These Goalie gummies are great. You get it, and it's a delicious little candy. And I've been enjoying the super fruits one. I did feel kind of refreshed after taking a few of those.
Yeah, no, but I'm loving them so far, and they're definitely tasty. If you just want tasty gummies, at least just eat them for the yumminess.
Yeah. So go to goalie.com, use the code HARDNOC, HARDNOC, get 10% off your purchase and free shipping at goalie.com with the code HARDNOC. So we're back. Just so you guys know, we're going to be going on hiatus soon. We're going to finish up Andor next week. As we mentioned before the break, we're going to talk about the finale of Andor, the Guardians holiday special. And then after that, we're going to formally take a break from at least the weekly episodes. We'll come back in January after the holidays. But there may be a one-off here and there between now and January, but we're going to just try to enjoy our families and our friends during the holidays as stuff starts kind of waning anyway when it comes to the nerd stuff that we were talking about, and we'll gear back up in January. But in light of not being around as much in the next couple months, I thought we could give some suggestions for some cool things that are coming out potentially that you may want to get for your loved ones or that favorite nerd in your life. So, Brittany, is there anything that you have your eye on that you think would make an awesome kind of nerdy NOC kind of gift that you would want to give the folks in your circle?
Well, I would say more for me, what I would want.
Or that. Yeah, you can always reach out. I'm sure she can put a P.O. box in the on social media.
I would really like any of the phase 2 books for the High Republic that are out now, which I haven't bought any yet because, as everyone knows, I have my high pile of books to get through. But that would make a perfect gift for me is the phase 2 High Republic books. And I actually really wanted the Dooku book, I think that might be an audio drama instead. I don't know, but that would be really cool too. And there's some really, really cool like Loungefly, if you know that brand. They have some really cool like different purses and backpacks going on, and they have it for all your nerdy things. So, just from a girly perspective, that's like good too. Or men can use backpack and purses.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, there's always like makeup brands that do their nerdy collaborations too, if you're looking for other gifts. I know there's a MAC and a Wakanda Forever limited makeup series too, so that could always make a great gift for someone.
Yeah, well, we'll put, at least for the High Republic books, we'll put Amazon affiliate links, so you can not only buy those books for Brittany or someone in your own circle, but you can also support the Nerds of Color by shopping at the Amazon affiliate links that we're going to put in the description below. I'll just plug a couple of Blu-rays that are coming out this week. The Criterion Collection, if you're not familiar, it's this like boutique-y home video collective, and they typically, get director approved scans of classic films, and usually like art house films. But this week, a whole bunch of like really awesome movies are coming out on Criterion for the first time. One, Criterion and Disney have teamed up for the first time, and they're putting out a WALL-E Blu-ray 4K DVD coming out this week. They're also putting out a Malcolm X Blu-ray 4K with Spike Lee approved transfer. It's going to be like the best that movie's ever looked on home video, with a bunch of extra special features. And of course, the other thing that I want to plug is the Infernal Affairs trilogy, which is the original Hong Kong movie starring Tony Leung from Shang-Chi. If you're familiar, if you've never seen a Tony Leung movie, watch Infernal Affairs. It's the Hong Kong movie that The Departed was based on. The entire trilogy is available on Blu-ray from the Criterion Collection. So those three things all come out this week. So if you're like a fan, your wallet just took a hit this week. If you ordered all of that, if you haven't ordered yet, you can. Again, I'm gonna put the affiliate links down in the description. But those all three come out this week, and they make great gifts. So if you're into Pixar, like again, this is historic because Pixar and Disney have never collaborated with the Criterion Collections, and WALL-E being the first one.
Martin Scorsese actually runs Criterion, and he's obviously made some comments about certain things that Disney does. So yeah, but I would say that Criterion is really good to support if you can, because you can't guarantee that these streaming services are going to be around forever. So having physical media is just as important.
Shout out to physical media for sure.
So, because again, you never know what can happen with we want to say that everything is safe digitally, but you can't guarantee that in streaming. So if there's certain things that are really your favorite, get the physical media of it. And Criterion helps with that, especially with stuff that is harder to find. So Criterion is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, like in a post HBO Max Warner Brothers Discovery world where they can just go, oh no, that thing you were waiting to stream, it's not there anymore. Better go find the Blu-rays, because
exactly
it's not guaranteed to be there. So yeah, so check out, like I said, check that out in the description below. Help out the Nerds Color while you're at it, because if you buy these gifts for your friends using the link, we'll get a portion of the proceeds, and you're helping us out as well as you're buying awesome gifts for your loved ones. So with that, Brittany, anything else nerd popping for you this week?
Yes. So if anyone's been following my Twitter, and I'm also on Hive now, I started watching Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know what it is, it's kind of akin to like the Twilight series or Twilight Zone, not Twilight series, sorry, the Twilight Zone, where it's basically a different.
It's not the Twilight series.
No,
very different.
Though there may be actually the episode that I just watched, which is called I think Witch House or something, is directed by Catherine Hardwicke, who
of the Twilight series. So there you go. There is a connection.
Which is the best Twilight movie. Is the first one is the best one, but it's really cool. Each episode has different cast, has different director, or sometimes different writers, or they're based off of different like short stories and different things, and it's really cool. Rupert Grint was also in the episode that Catherine directed. If those who used to like Harry Potter or still like it but are very against everything that JK stands for, Rupert is in it. It was really a fun episode. And the one before that was because I tweeted, if you saw my tweet, that it said crazy, like seeing Ben Barnes and Crispin Glover in the same thing. They were really good in their show episode. So I would highly recommend at least watching it for that episode because it was just so good. Oh my God, it was great. And I just love Ben Barnes. Prince Caspian is he's great.
He's also in Shadow and Bone. He's the Dark Lord on Shadow. Have you started it?
I started it and then like I don't know, it was kind of too slow for me, but I'm gonna try to watch. I know I gotta try to watch
Louis Tan's in season 2.
I know. I gotta try to watch it again because like I really like Ben Barnes. So I'm just like, I need to watch it. And then there's a part in the episode where Ben has like kind of like silver in his hair, and I'm like, could he be a Reed Richards? But I still would prefer a person of color to be Reed Richards. But just
well, you mentioned last week, I my fan cast is William Jackson Harper. So
you might be right.
We'll see. He's in Quantumania in a secret role, and like, if he's just playing some rando scientist, why would you make it a secret? That's all I gotta say. Like, you know what I'm saying? If William Jackson Harper's playing, or not even like a rando character, right? You don't cast someone like him as a rando. Let's say he's not playing Reed Richards, but he's playing, I don't know, what's another character in the Marvel universe? I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Something that would fit him. I can't think off the top of
my
head.
Let's just say what if he's playing Doctor Doom, which would also be dope. But if he's playing Victor Von Doom, you would just come out and say, well, that's true. That you would keep that a secret too. Never mind. My point is, like, if he's playing like someone that's not that important, they would just say who he's playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Harrison Ford is playing Thunderbolt Ross. They don't say Harrison Ford in some undisclosed part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why would you say William Jackson Harper? Which I'm not the only dude who thinks he should be Reed Richards, right?
A lot of people do.
Very popular
but
fan cast.
I just remember him saying, now I don't know if he was already cast and couldn't say anything, but he was like, I don't want to play another smart character like that again.
Yeah. Well, and I remember him saying, like, I don't want to be in a Marvel movie. That's why I don't want to be Mr. Fantastic. But like, he's in a Marvel movie, so it's like,
yeah, maybe he's Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised, but just watch that show. It's so good. I really like
sorry to take you off. William Jackson Harper.
I just want to say that show is so fun. Lots of different people that you will recognize throughout. F. Murray Abram was in the episode called The Autopsy. Sebastian Roche, who, if you are a Supernatural fan, he is in like one of the episodes. Oh, actually, Tim Blake Nelson is in that same episode with him. So there's a lot of different people who have been popping up in the show so far. It's really great. I think I have a few more to go and I'm done. But yeah, I just started that like the other day, and I've been watching at least 2 a day.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I guess what's nerd popping for me, as I mentioned, I wasn't on last week, but I did see Wakanda Forever. Mm-hmm. So that's still a big deal for me. I haven't had a chance to really talk about it. Like I mentioned before we started recording, you guys kind of covered everything. The only thing that I wanted to say was, and I guess it's been out 2 weeks now, so like, don't need the spoiler alert at this point. But I loved the mid-credit sequence.
Yes.
I loved meeting Toussaint, aka T'Challa. And what I think is for everyone who was like, boycott the movie, recast T'Challa, like they did it in the most elegant way you could imagine.
Yeah.
Because we had speculated they'll do some multiverse thing when then they can bring in whoever, John David Washington, whoever, right, as T'Challa. And it'll be just some like alternate version of it. But what I think what they're doing with introducing his son is they get to keep it. He's not just a different version. He's Chadwick's son.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even if then you can recast. You can still pull him from the future because like I know I've seen people complain, well, I don't want to wait 12 years for another Black Panther. No one is saying you're waiting for that kid to grow up.
Yeah. Just they have now paved a way to do all the bring him, like you said, pull him from the future, or
and he'll be the future T'Challa will be the son of Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, and not just some random T'Challa. And I think that is the most elegant way you could do the recast without recasting. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's what I really appreciated about that. So yeah, I mean, I you guys covered everything. Like Tenoch Huerta's Namor is, I hope he has a bright future in the MCU because,
and not just in the MCU, outside as well.
Well, yeah, Tenoch Huerta, of course, I think he's the breakout star in the film. But I'm just saying, like, we need more Namor in the MCU.
Yes.
The only worry I have is that unless they bring in an Indigenous or a Latinx director, I can't see the other directors in the MCU pool being able to pull off Talokan the way Ryan Coogler and his team was able to.
And I think also and then we have to be aware that there is colorism and anti-Blackness and whatnot within the Latinx community. So it would also be someone who is aware of that, because he's talked about it on stuff where like,
well, that's that's the thing, right? Tenoch Huerta is like saying people like me don't get to be leads in Mexico, much less in this global phenomenon like Marvel.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
to have Namor be more prominent in the MCU would require the MCU, Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige to bring in Indigenous and Latinx, particularly Indigenous Latinx people.
Yes,
to helm a Namor, because like I guess what I'm saying, I want a Namor movie. I think we just need a whole ass movie about Talokan, and lastly, I'll say, like, they just released a poster of Letitia in the Black Panther costume. I don't understand why they even had to like keep that a secret to begin with. Like, it was just unnecessary speculation about maybe it's Okoye, maybe it's Lupita, maybe it's Ramonda. Like, just say it was going to be Shuri. Like, I don't know why that was supposed to be such a mystery. And one last, sorry, I know I said I had one thing to say about, but clearly I've missed being on last week. I wanted to talk about the Midnight Angels. If there was one critique I had about the movie, is I thought they wasted the Midnight Angels, because in the comics, Aneka and Io are the angels, and it's touched on very briefly in the movie that they're a couple, but they're very much a couple in the comics, and they're the Midnight Angels to get. Okoye didn't need to be the other Midnight Angel. Like, I was kind of like, why is Okoye and Aneka the angel? Why not just let it be Io and Aneka? But whatever. They needed to give Denai something to do, but I just thought that was such a waste that they could have saved that for another movie, maybe. Because Michaela Cole doesn't really do anything in the movie.
And she's so great, which is like unfortunate because she's so great, and then but when she's there, she's great, which is nice. But yeah, she should have had more to do. But it also depends on how much, also what exactly did Ryan write, and what exactly did they film, and then what exactly did Kevin Feige was like, we're not going to let this pass. Or even Disney could have been like, we're not going to let this pass, so who knows what happened. But and I'm not trying to start like a release Ryan cut or whatever,
release the Coogler cut.
I'm not trying to start that. I'm just saying, like, we don't know what gets missed from it, or But I still overall like. I really thought it was cool, and I wish she had more to do. But the scene with Denai and Angela is just like some of the best.
Oh, one other critique. I don't think they needed to kill Ramonda. Like, and Angela Bassett didn't want to be killed off either. Right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So I think because the main thing I think it was unnecessary is that you're already mourning T'Challa.
Yeah. That's why that movie is just very heavy.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you have the power to not have to tack on another tragedy to Shuri. I mean, I get it. Like, she feels like she's the only. That's what makes the Prince T'Challa scene so affecting too. It's like she's not the last, right? But still, like, you didn't have to kill her off. That seemed a little excessive to me. But you know, what's done is done. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the pod for this week. Brittany, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm obviously still on Twitter. Like I said, I'm going down with the ship at Hi Brittany Monet. And so there is a new social media platform called Hive. So it looks like a little like bee, if you see it. And it's literally kind of like Twitter and Tumblr and Instagram had a baby. But on your profile, you can have a profile song like MySpace.
So it's like Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and MySpace had a baby.
Yes. It's really fun. I like it. And they're also a platform that is about making sure that right now there's only 2 people actually like running the whole like thing in terms of servers and all that stuff. So be patient with them, but they are trying to make sure that is a safe space for people of color and people in the LGBTQ community, and even like, you know, for fat people. They said they're gonna hunt down any thin inspiration posts, if you've heard of that. So it really looks like it's a very nice community-based kind of great place to be on social media. So obviously if you're someone who has an issue with that, you're not gonna like Hive, but
which is the point.
Yeah, which is the point.
Because Twitter's become another version of 4chan, basically, and that's why we're looking for Twitter alternatives. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheRealChow for now, _real_chow, and @RealKeithChow. Instagram, follow Nerds of Color at the Nerds of Color. Everywhere, including Hive. Apparently, there's a Nerds of Color Hive account, so we have that. We even have a Mastodon, but I don't think that's going to stick around.
I'm not going over there.
And it's confusing. Yeah.
That's
but
what
Instagram,
like...
YouTube, basically just type the Nerds of Color in any social media platform and we'll probably be there. You can follow our videos at youtube.com/the Nerds of Color and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/the Nerds of Color. Go to hardknockmedia.com to find us and all the podcasts in the network and give us a rating and a review if you do. That's it for this week. Until next time.
Mighty Morphin.
There you go. R.I.P. JDF.